in your data definitions, you have for each particular business class item, you're going to have your functional definition. So you have the 2 quality attributes that are associated with the functional definition. That's just saying what data type it is and what the valid values list is. You've got for each data system a technical definition and a lineage if you want it, which is a lineage is a word we made up, but it's a half a lineage. It's like, what's the source part of this lineage from a mapping specification-based system? So some of the best practices around functional definition is to provide a specific and common name for the development. Don't put your database name in there, underscore, camel case, whatever. It must be unique across all data elements, so you can't have 2 things named the same thing. It doesn't work in a Merriam-Webster dictionary. It shouldn't work in this one. The names of the elements are specific and unique. So, start date, if you have something called start date, that's not a good thing, but term start date is better, right? So what is it? It's got to be as specific as possible. Functional definition is a specific English definition of the element. I mean, obviously, if you're not in England, if you don't speak English, you can put another language, but a non sort of code-based explanation that the layperson can read. It should not include database terminology and should refer to other definitions where possible. So functional definitions, there's some best practices there. Also, establish a functional area. This really sets what the ownership is. What area does this fall in? Is it in the registrars or the bursars or however you want to define that, but define sort of an ownership area. Not necessarily a specific person or a specific role, but an area, and then you can associate your stewards with those roles so people can have, with those areas. So people can have more than, I can be in charge of, the financial aid and the student AR or something. Right? The other thing to have in here is synonyms. So I said that you don't want to have 2 things, 2 definitions with the same name, but you can have 1 definition with multiple names, right? Which means, I have something called academic program, but you might have something called ACAD program, or you might have something called, just prog or whatever, however you want to do that. But if you have sort of a synonym, you can list that there, and our tool that shows up on the same searches as well. Security classification is a good thing to throw in as well. Like this would be sort of a drop-down list of classifications that you would want to set that you can put on this. Like, oh, is this PII or is this a highly sensitive information? And then just general tags. You want to tag things with whatever you want. That's a good thing to keep track of. And then attachment. That's something that we support. If you want to have like an ERD diagram or some sort of PDF with a greater description. Like if there's something that's really complicated and you want to have that, to be able to support richer data in there. The functional definition should be as specific as possible. And we've already mentioned it shouldn't contain column names, and they should have the links. They should include example values if you can. So if there's a full list of values, you can put that in the quality attributes, but you want to have sort of like sample data or examples of it where it helps. If there's relationships to other entities, other definitions, you can now, and then specify the relationship to time. So the technical definition, some of the thing here is you want to provide detailed specifications on how you can retrieve this element from a specific data system and where it's located. If you've got multiple data systems, you want to specify each one of them. We recommend having a narrative and spec-based, but if you can't have both, do a narrative-based system. The spec-based allows us to do things like generate lineages and do other more interesting things. The narrative, serves as instructions to someone who's building it or understanding how it works. And then you want to connect it to the data model if you can. So if we allow you dropping and dragging those data model objects into the narrative or into the lineage and having both of those appear. Lineage, by the way, I didn't show you on that example, but it not only has sort of fields, you can have multiple fields and have processing steps and all that. It really sort of specs it out like a ETL process would. Some of the standards there is that, and this is important, that your technical definition should match and represent the functional definition. So this is really important, sort of like the crux of this thing. Like if I have a technical definition that explains what a formatted name is specifically, and a functional definition, and I have a technical definition that if I were to execute it didn't give me that same thing, then I've got a bad definition. So that's the most important thing. It should talk about the location of where it is and its calculation methods, and then also talk about